Hi, this is Tony Kent, and this is episode 5 of Tony Kent Writes and Chats. It's the 5th of April. We're going to rename this today, I think temporarily, just for today, to Tony Kent Does Absolutely No Writing Whatsoever, but Still Chats. Because the last 2 days, I have to admit, I have done absolutely nothing. You saw the last episode, which was the 3rd of April. That was, as you know, my birthday. And unfortunately, the combination of the 10 a.m. start with whiskey, Prosecco, more whiskey, probably not quite enough to eat, you wouldn't believe it to look at me, and some wine has combined with my advancing years, unfortunately, to give me a 2-day hangover. And so I have managed to achieve nothing in the last 2 days, which is a bit embarrassing when I'm talking on a series of documentaries about my writing process. Because if I'm not writing, then what's the process? Well, I'll be back to it tomorrow, I promise. No question about this at all. And tomorrow I will talk about what I was going to talk about today, which is word count and the process of actually writing. But I think it's only right I should do that on a day where I've actually done some. And for that reason, I've changed up what we'll talk about today. I will hang my head in shame, talk about no more of the actual writing process because I've achieved nothing. And instead I'm going to talk about inspiration and what it was that in fact inspired me to become a writer. Or, more correctly, who it was. Because it was one man. And it was one book. David Baldacci. And The Winner. Now, I have 2 copies of that book because it means so much to me. This is an autographed first edition all the way from the USA. My wife bought me for my birthday a few years ago. And this, I will admit, because she's not in the kitchen, is even more important. Because I bought this book at Capital Crime in October of last year, October 2019, where I was appearing, by that point, I was a published author, and I was appearing on a panel with Imran Mahmood and Steve Kavanagh and Harriet Tice, and who was headlining the event, but David Baldacci. So I hung around, I stayed far longer than I needed to in the green room, chatting away. Honestly, I've got a reason to be here. No reason to be there at all. One of the event organisers is the amazing author Adam Hamdy. I'm sure you've all read Black 13, which is out this year. One of the best thrillers I've ever read. And if you haven't read it, go and buy it immediately. It's fantastic. Well, Adam, I think, took pity on me and introduced me to David Baldacci. And we had a nice long chat. I'd met him once before, but it was at a signing. This was different. This was author to author, if there is such a thing. And I won't say we got on like a house on fire because I was probably some gurning, inarticulate fan talking to him. But he was a wonderful man, very nice, very accommodating. And he agreed to read Powerplay. He read a very early copy of Powerplay, and this is what he had to say about it. Now, I've got to tell you this, I've got to read this to you because I'm so very proud of it. Because please remember, this is my inspiration, this is the reason I'm an author, this man. And he wrote this about something I wrote. This book literally explodes in the first few pages and keeps going at a breakneck pace. An intricate, twisty minefield of geopolitics and absolute power gone rogue. Kent has outdone himself with this one. If it's not obvious from my enthusiasm how much that means to me, just please take it from me. It means everything. Because this book totally inspired me to be a writer. I read it when I was 18 or 19. To that point, I'd never read anything in the thriller genre. And to this day, I have never read anything better in the thriller genre. And the reality is, up until that point, I didn't realise that you could write that kind of a book. I'd read plenty. I'd read lots and lots of books. I've read the classics. I've read everything you'd expect us to read at that point. And I enjoyed most of it. It was all very good. I appreciated it. I loved this. And I've loved so many other books since, many of them his. And the reason I loved it so much is that it did something that became exactly what I intend to do. It drew a film. It created a film, a literal film. Well, I guess not a literal film, a figurative film in my mind. I read that book and it felt like I was watching a film play out on the screen. I even cast the characters. I had Mel Gibson, this is a long time ago, remember. I know I do like Mel Gibson. I had Mel Gibson as the main lead. I had Charlize Theron. I remember having Charlize Theron as the female lead, Joanne Tyler. I definitely didn't, because she wasn't famous then, but you know, that's how memories work, I guess. I was casting it, and I was seeing it, and anyone who's heard me speak or has heard me interviewed or knows me knows that for me is everything in writing. What I try to do in everything I write is create a film in your head, a film in the reader's mind. I want you to cast it. When I have a review that says, oh, this is very cinematic, or this is very filmic, and I've had a lot of those, I'm over the moon. I've actually had a few, I think, reviews that were intending to be a bit disparaging, that say, oh, this is a bit like a film script. That's wonderful for me. I love that. So thank you very much, people who were intending to insult me. I'm over the moon by that. And the reality is that's everything for me in writing. That's what I try to do. As I keep saying, I want you to read this and I want you to see it. I want you to cast it. I want you to wonder whether or not Gerard Butler should be playing Joe Dempsey. I want you to wonder, I can't say about Michael Devlin because we might be about to cast him, and who knows who's watching this. But the reality is that's what I go for. That's what I try to do. That is my entire thrust of my entire purpose when I'm writing these books, and the inspiration for that 100% from David Baldacci and the winner. So David Baldacci, thank you for these, and really thank you for this. Okay, we'll come back tomorrow. When we come back tomorrow, we'll do what we should have done today. I'll get some work done and I'll tell you how that work went. We'll talk about word count and we'll talk about process. But before I go, just very briefly, social media. I should have mentioned in episode 1 my other social media accounts. Tony Kent _writes on Twitter and on Instagram. Tony Kent Writes on Facebook. And then my actual Facebook page is erroneously called Tony Kent Author. Now that's probably the most important one, because that's where I'll be having my Power Play launch at 8:30 on the 16th of April, with all of the giveaways, all of the fun, all of the chats, all the questions that I hope you'll join me on. But I would very much like it if you could join me on all of them. Follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Facebook, and obviously continue to follow me on YouTube. So there we are. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you very much, and sorry that I got nothing done, but it was my birthday. Thank you.